one of my absolutely favorite topics, and that is messaging. And I laugh when I think about messaging. I have an entire file, and I recommend you do the same, of the worst messages you receive on a regular basis. Most of us who are in sales training or in sales enablement, our email boxes are absolutely full with vendors who want to talk to us about why our training program or our enablement program need their new product or service. And unfortunately, our email boxes are also full of all of the people who have not taken the time to understand who we are, what we do, what matters to us, what are our jobs to be done, what are the challenges that we face on a regular basis. I have people around my organization collecting worst messages for me because I use them as a training method in what not to do. And sometimes they really, really resonate with my sellers as to what you don't want to do with your messaging. So I'd highly recommend doing that. The file gets longer and longer and it becomes more and more engaging. But it also teaches, when you get great messaging, and I certainly recommend you save those as well, why is it great messaging? How did they hit the mark? How did they tailor that message to specifically what you need to hear, what matters to you, what might be keeping you up at night, and how their product or service can be of great benefit to you. So a few key things that I like to teach our sellers always begins with a subject line. It's amazing to me how undervalued sellers take that subject line, and they just toss any few random words into that subject line and don't think about the fact that statistically now over 50% of messages are being read on mobile devices. Of those mobile devices, the majority by a long shot are iOS, so they're being read on Apple devices. Now take a look at an email message on an Apple device, and you're going to see that what the recipient is viewing is typically a subject line and the first line of an email. That's all they're going to see. And with that subject line and that first line of the email, they are making a decision as to whether they're going to engage with your piece of email or they're going to do the quick single finger delete. So you've got a nanosecond to make that first impression. Statistically, it's proven that open rates are highest on 2 to 3 word subject lines. So how are you going to engage a prospect in 2 to 3 words with a message that is honest? First off, the last thing you got, I hate to quote some of the subject lines I've gotten because I would hate to think that any of the authors might be listening to this video. But if that subject line is purely something that is creative that you think might get somebody to open your email, but it has nothing to do with the content of your email, it feels really deceptive and is probably going to annoy the recipient. So make sure that that 2 to 3 word subject line is appropriate to your content, but it still is going to pique the curiosity of the recipient enough to where they're going to want to look forward. The next thing, that first line, your power line. It is an understatement to say that the majority of emails I receive waste that power line with, hope you're having a great day, or I'm sure you've seen my other emails, or I don't want to be a disruption to your day, or clearly you're very busy, or I hope you're enjoying the nice weather, or hope you had a great weekend, or. I mean, the list could go on and on. If I am seeing a subject line and I am seeing that first line and that's all I'm seeing, you have completely wasted my time, and you have assured the fact that I will delete your message. Granted, I receive a lot of emails, so I am really quick on that delete button, but I believe that most of your prospects are as well. So make sure that that first line is direct and to the point and spells out exactly why you are contacting this person at this time. Make sure that you are speaking to what matters to them. Make sure that they can see that you understand their role, you know what they do, you know what their company does, and you know why your product is a great fit. But don't make this about you. Don't make it about your product. Make it about your prospect and how you are in a position to discuss with them a potential fix for a problem or a concern that they have. The key messaging needs to be very specific. In this day and age, it's not about me, the seller. It's not about the company that I represent. It's not about the products I have to offer. Nobody wants to hear about me, me, me. What people want to hear about is them, them, them. And you need to make sure that your messaging is tailored in that way. I recommend that all your messaging first is very brief. We're going to go back to that mobile messaging concept. Your messaging needs to be easy to read on a mobile phone. And if you can imagine, heaven forbid, that people are reading your messages while they're driving a car, I know nobody should be doing that anymore, but people still do. Or if they're sitting in a conference room and their mobile phone is on their lap and they're trying to sneak a peek at the emails they have sitting on their lap that they're not supposed to be looking at because they're in a they're in a meeting, how can you make that message fit into one frame on a mobile device with plenty of white space, perhaps a few bulleted points, make it relevant to them, make it relevant to their role, potentially make it relevant to their jobs to be done, the vertical market that they are in, perhaps the geography that they're in, all in a short span of time. And then what is the ask? What are you trying to get them to do for you or with you? For us, it's a 15-minute meeting. We are looking for 15 minutes on their calendar. That's it, that's all, because guess what? We haven't earned any more than 15 minutes yet. In that 15 minutes, we are going to earn the right to ask for a full meeting. Your ask might be different, but the ask needs to be short. You need to be sure that the ask is easy for them to respond to, and it should be one call to action only. Don't say, well, check your calendar and here are 2 options for you to pick from and here's my telephone number, or hit me back on email. Remember, this person might be in their car. They might be in a meeting room. The call to action needs to be simple, it needs to be specific, and it needs to be easy for them to respond to. Keep in mind, as you are creating messaging, there are 3 key things you want to strive for with every message that you put out there, whether it's a first message, a middle of the pipeline message, or a closing message. 3 things you want to do with every message. Build your personal brand. Show yourself to be an industry expert and a credible partner. That is number 1. Number 2, build credibility for your company. Make sure that the person that you are speaking to understands what you have to offer or why you want to speak or provide value to them. Make sure that you are presenting yourself as a trusted partner, once again, as a company. And then lastly, always secure those next steps. They should be, mutually agreed upon with a time and a date.